In the previous tutorial, we set up a text type on effect for our dialogue, and it works quite well. We hit the return key and the dialogue goes away. But now we want to bring this information that we've been working on, this fade screen, to the kingdom. And the kingdom works a little bit differently than our basic kingdom room. When you go out here, I mean, you still have that clunky opening, that jarring sort of opening of just out to the kingdom. Plus, we no longer have our text type on effect. So we've got some changes to make. We're going to use today as sort of a clean up and move over day for this, and we've got quite a bit of work to do actually. So let's begin by actually, I'm going to hold Control Alt and hit P, and I want to open up our kingdom room here. Let's get rid of the type on dialog external event for right now. And I'm going to copy this entire external event grouping that contains all of our external events thus far. And I'm actually going to paste it right here and get rid of this other one that we have here now. And now we want to think about which external events we need and which ones we don't need. We need the game mechanics, right? We don't need the chest inventory one because there's no chest in the kingdom, so we can delete that. We need the inventory. We don't need the kingdom room EEs because they just deal with the basic kingdom room, so we can delete that. And we do need Bob's EEs as well. The other thing I want to do is I want to move the beginning of the scene code to the top so that it's the first thing that we see here at the top, because we've got some work to do there. Okay, and now what do we do? Now we've got our external events here, including fade the screen. But we need to modify this beginning of the scene code here. So let's delete what's in there now, because we don't need that anymore. And let's start stealing from our basic kingdom room beginning of the scene. Let me copy this and paste it here. Copy, paste, copy and paste. We need all this here. Okay, what else do we need? What's going on here? Let's go, well, since we're creating Bob at this position here now, we're creating him on the fly. We no longer need Bob on the scene here, the scene layout, so let's go ahead and delete him there. Now we decided to have the fade screen be the topmost object and then Bob to be right under that at 499. But this became a little bit unruly, this kingdom scene, and we've got quite a few objects. Their Z orders are above that. So let's just kind of make a pact right now that we'll always remember that the fade screen is the top, 500, and Bob is 499. Everything else sort of has to stay under that, okay? That'll keep us in check. We can also kind of think about these in sort of as a hierarchy as well, right? So doors always need to be higher than buildings, right? Signs are generally going to always have to be above just the grass or objects sort of that surrounded bushes and things like that. And our outside objects here, again, just need to be higher than, say, the grass. The grass or whatever's on the tiled, you know, on the bottom here on the floor, probably should always be kind of the lowest or one of the lowest Z orders. All right, so we've got to change these. Let's change the buildings first. Okay, and if you don't have your properties window up, it's easy enough to do. You can just click on your object and then click this right here. So already we've got, 500. You'll see what happens if we hit the preview for the kingdom. Actually, nothing's going to happen because we never did a check for fade screen. Let's go ahead and add our check for fade screen in the kingdom events here. Variable, value of global variable, check for fade equals 1. And then I think if we preview our kingdom screen, you're going to see a bunch of problems here. Yeah, the fade screen's not in the right place. It does fade out, but you can see the Z order issue going on there. All right, so one thing at a time, we're going to clean up. Let's clean up that Z order problem. So buildings, we're going to make all buildings basically 100. They're going to be in the 100 category. Doors need to be in the 200s because they have big priority, so we're going to do 200. Okay. Signs can be 100 as well, same as buildings. If you want to make your sign in your building, maybe it's better to make these 200 because they're readable. Anything that's readable, we might make 200. So let's make our signs 200. What else is a potential problem? These borders. Borders can just be 100. Grass will be in the zeros here, or 2 is fine. Okay, that takes care of the Z order issue here. I think if we hit the preview for the kingdom, we should have narrowed down some of our problems here. All right. So you notice the fade screen is actually not in the center where it was in our basic kingdom room, right? So if we go into basic kingdom room here, beautiful, it fades in nicely. Okay, when we come out here, it looks like it fades in nicely, but it doesn't really work. Now watch when I come back out. See? So why is that the case? Let's think about this for a second and debug it. This screen here tells you everything you need to know about why that doesn't work. So think about this for a second, right? Talk it out loud, figure out why our fade screen is not centered. All right. So remember, this grayed area here is technically our viewable position. It's 800 by 600. Now when we're in the basic kingdom room, our entire room fits into this 800 by 600 viewing window. So if we just start at 0, 0 and fill up the room with a fade screen, it fills this entire space. The kingdom, however, runs outside that main viewing window. It still operates on the same principles of spacing of 0, 0 to 800 by 600, but because we tell the fade screen to go to 0, 0 of this space, it still starts right here and fills up that window. So when we come out this room, it does 800 by 600, and we are off. I mean, it does 800 by 600, and you can see it off the screen. Watch again where it comes out. Okay, see how it faded out of that window? Now when we come out of this room, you're going to see that it's still in that 800 by 600 window over here, and this space is now open. So here it is filling in that viewable window, and there it is still in that same window of 0, 0 to 800 by 600. So, how do we fix this? Well, first let's recognize what happened here is we changed the camera, right? The camera centers on Bob in these large spaces like the kingdom. So Bob becomes our anchoring point, or if you will, our starting point. So we need to actually create this object fade screen around Bob, as opposed to the window, the viewing window. And that's going to involve some math. Now, math, there's a love-hate relationship with math. Just always do your best to think it through, okay? And you can sort of fudge around with it a little bit, right? So let's think about this for a second. If Bob is in the center of the screen, right? That means the center of the screen is 400, right? Because it's 800 by 600. So the center of that viewing space is going to be 400. So if we even just did this, if we just said, let's make our fade screen, and again, this is starting point plus offset, right? So our starting point is actually Bob because he's our anchor point here. So it would be global variable Bob position X, right? And then let's minus 400 because that's where we want to start. Is when you go this way on the screen, you're minusing. When you go this way on the screen, you're plussing. So minus 400 is where we want to start this. Let's copy this and paste it and change this to a Y. Now, our Y position is 600 pixels in height. So the halfway point would be 300 here. Let's just see how we did. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Let's go into this kingdom room and let's see how we did. So that still works fine. All right, not bad. It was better, but did you see that space over here? So why is that space there? Why are we not filling up that space? I think you'll see it better if we go into this room here. See? See that space there and there? So what didn't we take into account? We didn't take into account the halfway point of Bob, right? The width of Bob. He's 32 pixels in width. We need to also minus half of Bob. So half of 32 is 18. So we would take 400 minus 18 equals 382. So let's go ahead and create this at 382. And then if you minus 18 from 300, it would just be 282. Let's see how we did now. Let's start actually in our basic kingdom room. And we'll go out from there. All right, that looks pretty good. How about this one? All right. Last test. Okay, so it looks like we missed the Z order over here. Otherwise it would be, I think it would work really well. So let's hit our objects properties. We did. It's 100. What else did we miss? We missed that border down there. How about this one? We got that one. What about this top one? Aha, we missed that one too. Okay, the last thing I want to do is, did you notice that Bob was facing to the right when he came out the door? That's a little weird, right? So let's borrow from our position, our direction of Bob here, which is right now he's facing to the right. If we turn him 90 degrees, he's facing down, which is what we want. So let's copy that, and let's move that here, and let's do one more preview. I'm doing it from Basic Kingdom Room. Okay, looks good. He came out the correct way. All right. Looks good.